you standing in your own way. Welcome back to Authentically Me, the podcast with yours truly, Jade Louise Dibbles. I'm so happy to be with you guys today. And I am bringing you one of the biggest things that most of us don't even realize that we do, is stand in the way of our own growth and potential. We don't realize how much we block ourselves, how much we underestimate ourselves, and how much we block our evolution and our growth. And I am here to tell you today exactly how we do it and to support you in ways to get yourself out of the vigorous loop that you're in. Because believe it or not, if you are feeling stuck in your life right now, 99% of the reason why is the person that looks back at you in the mirror. And how do I know that? Because I have done it so many times in my own journey, especially when it came to ending a toxic relationship of mine in the past. And I've also done it recently as well. I have been avoiding a rock bottom and an ending in my own life the past year, actually, I would say. It's been a good year to 18 months. I have delayed an evolution process in my own journey. Why? Because I was trying to control it. Why? Because I was scared. I was scared what would happen when I'd let go. I was scared who I would be the other side. I was scared how my life would look. I was scared how people would view me, what people would think about me, judgments. And I was scared to be alone the other side. And this is why most of us stay in the places that we're in. Even though we're so unhappy, we stay there because we'd rather have a familiar unhappiness than an unfamiliar happiness. I'm going to say that again. We would rather stay in a familiar unhappiness than stay in an unfamiliar happiness. And you're probably thinking, how the hell does that work? Because believe it or not, we are creatures of habit. So because we're creatures of habit, we love to stay in things that are familiar. Even if it feels horrible inside, it makes you feel sad. But because it's familiar, you stay. Because why would you want to go somewhere unfamiliar? Because you don't know what it feels like. So why are you going to go there? You're not. And this is what so many of us go through based on our own conditioning and how we've been brought up as children. Because believe it or not, most of us don't realize why we stay in toxic relationships. We stay in toxic relationships because it's familiar to what, you may ask, familiar to a toxic childhood growing up. Because again, it's familiar. And you may be sitting there thinking, I had a good childhood. So did I, on the face of it. On the face of my childhood, on the outside, it was a picture perfect childhood. I had everything that I ever desired. I never wanted for anything. My dad had a really good job. My mum had a part-time job, so she was staying at home looking after me and my brother. Picture perfect. However, on the inside, it was toxic. Or should I say it was unhealthy. And because of certain patterns that were going on in the household, some which were very minor, by the way. And many of us don't realize that society generally is actually quite unhealthy. So because so many unhealthy things are normalized, we don't actually realize how unhealthy and how toxic relationships are generally in life. And that goes for relationships, friendships, and family all together. So if we've been brought up in an unhealthy relationship and family dynamic growing up, it then becomes familiar. So because it becomes familiar, we then go into that in relationships and friendships. So when we go into that and when we realize that it's actually making us unhappy, we hold ourselves back and we don't break out of it because we will go into unfamiliar territory. And that is the most scariest thing of all. Because there was an actual time in your life that you remember the unfamiliar. You were that risk taker and you took a risk once. And when you took that risk, you felt so unsafe that you didn't want to do it again. You experienced a hurt as a childhood, in your childhood, which you don't want to experience again. And because of that, you'd rather stay in the familiar because the familiar is safe. Because when you're in that familiar surrounding, yeah, you might be unhappy, but you feel safe. And you'd rather feel safe than be scared and happy. This is all going on unconsciously, by the way. I'm telling you the depths of what's going on with you now mentally. So I'm going to go back now to the original question. How we block ourselves. We block ourselves because we'd rather be in the familiar. So then what we try and do is we try and control our whole life to be familiar. Because when we're in the familiar, we feel safe. So you being by yourself is unfamiliar. So if you're listening to this and you're in a toxic relationship, I'm telling you now, you are working your absolute arse off to try and make this relationship work due to one fear underneath it. And that's the fear of you being alone. Because you being alone is such an unfamiliar place that you're so scared to go there because you actually don't know if you're going to survive. So instead of risking it for a chocolate biscuit, you are staying in the familiar, which means you are staying in a toxic relationship, which is the familiar, no matter how unhappy you get. And the thing is now, you're trying to control this so much, you're trying to work and do different ideas to keep this relationship going, exhausting yourself, going through so much pain and hitting your head against a brick wall so many times, ignoring all the signs telling you to leave, talking yourself out of it, because you're trying to control the outcome. You're trying to control your growth process. When in reality, deep down, you already know the answer. You know deep down that you can't be with this man anymore. And that is the most scariest thing to you right now. So instead of leading in faith and love for yourself, you are leading your life based in fear. And because you're leading your life based in fear, you are now controlling your life. You're not allowing the process of evolution, and you're not allowing God in. You're not allowing the universe, the person that's actually in control of this world, you're not allowing them in. And you're not trusting them. You're not trusting the process. And in doing so, you're trying to micromanage your own life. And that's not how life works. How do I know? Because I've been there, I've done that, I've got the t-shirt, I've been exhausted, and here I am right now. I've done this not only in the past year, I also did it when I knew my marriage was coming to an end. All the way back, I think I knew 3 years before I left that the relationship was done. I knew that, but I kept trying to make it work. Why? Because I was so scared to be on my own. So right now, you're not listening to this episode randomly. You are listening to this because it's coming to you in the perfect time. So I want you to ask yourself, and I want you to look at your life and be radically honest and ask yourself, where are you getting in your own way? How are you trying to control your life right now? How are you trying to control the outcome? And where, instead of being in fear, can you lead in faith? That's my question to you. They're really powerful questions. And I'm asking you this for a reason, because when you actually start to self-inquire and you actually become aware of what you're doing, you will understand how you're standing in your own way. Many of us believe that we are a victim to this world. We are not. We actually play a role in every single situation we are in. And until we actually start reflecting and being aware of our own actions, we will always play the victim in this life. But the thing is, no one is going to save you apart from yourself. You are your own savior. You are your own warrior. And you are your biggest protector when you allow it. And instead of leading with fear, it's about leading with loving yourself and moving with fear. This is what this walk of growth is all about. It's walking with fear side by side. Because right now, instead of walking with fear, you are avoiding fear. And this is when fear grabs hold of you and doesn't allow you to move. This is why you feel so stuck. This is why you're getting in your own way. Why? Because you are allowing fear to have power over you. And why are you allowing fear to have power over you? I'll tell you why. Because you don't know how to deal with fear. Like many of us don't know how to deal with fear. Many of us actually aren't provided with the emotional knowledge that we actually require as women. Most of us aren't provided with that from such a young age. And this is why there's people like me in the world supporting women out there to deal with their emotions. Because once we know how to deal with our emotions, not only can we support ourselves, we can support people around us, and we can support our children going forward, which is actually going to help the whole generations going forward in years to come. Okay? We need to know how to deal with fear, because if we don't know how to deal with fear and the rest of our emotions, they will have control over our life. This is why we have so many women out there who are depressed, who are anxious. Why? Because at the bottom of it, they are allowing fear and sadness to control their life. And what I'm going to say now is my own personal opinion. And I don't want you to take this as truth. This is just from how I view the world, that with anxiety and depression, hospitals and doctors are not getting to the root cause of the issue with a lot of us in society. They are giving us tablets, they are giving us antidepressants, they are giving us anxiety tablets, but they're not supporting us in connecting to the root cause of anxiety. They're not allowing us to understand what's actually going on with us mentally. They're just giving something to deal with the chemical reactions that are happening on the surface. Whereas when we do the deeper work, we can actually start to understand where our anxiety is actually birthed from. And once we understand where our anxiety is birthed from, because anxiety is control, and control is born from a fear, and fear is born from a situation that happened in your childhood when you weren't in control and you didn't feel safe. So it's actually about doing the deeper work, talking to that childhood self of yours, rewriting how you understood the situation in the past, for you then to feel safe, to then support the adult version of you, of no longer needing to control due to lack of safety, but actually moving with love and safety and fear all at the same time. Again, this is why doing the deeper work is so important. If you have all these dreams that you have, which I know that you do, I know that you're sitting there right now desiring so much. You're desiring the family of your dreams, the husband of your dreams, the life of your dreams, the job of your dreams. You're desiring all of that. And when you close your eyes and you look forward at that vision, you will see that there's something standing in the way. You may even feel that it's too far away. And the reason being is because there's a fear in the middle. And that fear is keeping you one side of the fence further away from your dreams than the other side of the fence closer to your dreams. Fear is the biggest indicator that you are on the next level. You are ready for the next level in your life. The journey of growth does not exist without fear. That is a quote right there. The journey of growth does not exist without fear. And when you walk with fear, this is when you get out of your own way. Because what it is, fear is very much a mind-led thing. It's very much something that the mind has created, that the ego's created to keep you safe. That's its job. Whereas we as women do not work from the mind. We work from our heart space. Our heart space is where our soul lies. It's where we as women are naturally placed. This is where our feminine energy is. And this is why rock bottom happens, because rock bottom comes at a time when your mind can no longer lead and your heart now needs to wake up. And the thing is, what happens is when you go to rock bottom, because it's so unfamiliar, your heart space is so unfamiliar. Why? Because you've gone through so much heartbreak in the past and you've guarded it now. And you're so scared for someone to get in there. You're so scared. And when you hit rock bottom, you are back in your heart again, which is an unfamiliar place. So then what do? Straight back to the head again. Straight back to controlling your life. Straight back to not allowing anyone close to you. And not allowing yourself to break. Because when you break, you're going to be an emotional wreck. But how about actually saying to yourself that emotional wreck is me? That emotional wreck is me as a woman feeling her feelings, which is what we are born to do. We are not born to be led through our minds. That's the man's job. We are here to be feminine beings. We are here to be loving beings. We are here to nurture and care. But because of the pain of the past, that's not allowing you to do that anymore. That's only what's happened in the past is sending you straight back to your head again. It's not allowing you to go to your heart. Why? Because your heart is not a safe place. But how about making your heart a safe place? How about allowing the truth of who you are? Because not only are you actually controlling your life right now, you're controlling who you are. Because deep down, you've been brought up through the pain of your childhood to be a version of yourself that keeps everyone else happy. Because you learned at one point in your life that who you truly are is not acceptable and will not be loved. If you are a different version of you, you will be loved. And rock bottom comes to you to tell you that you deserve to be your true self. And when you are your true self, every single person in your life and everything happening in your life will align to that. And this is one of the reasons why your relationship is not working out. Your job's not working out. Your friendships are not working out. And you're getting to rock bottom. Because the people and the job and everything in your life right now is not supposed to stay there. They're not for you. And I know this is really, really hard to listen to. And it's a really, really big pill to swallow. And I am putting you in a place of really unsafe surroundings right now. But I want you to know that you're going to be okay. How do I know that? Because I was okay. I have walked with fear in so many different times in my life, and I am walking with fear right now. And I'm okay. Why? Because I allow fear in. I allow my emotions in. Because what I'd like you to imagine right now is every single time that you feel that you're about to break, and you're like, no, I'm fine. I'm going to go and I'm going to get cleaning and I'm going to keep busy. And every time you do that, it's like fear is knocking on the door and you're like, no, not today. I'm not going to answer you today. No. And when you don't answer, it's like a child. When you don't answer, what do? I'm here. Come and see me. Come and play with me. Why are you not talking to me? Why are you ignoring me? Does that sound familiar? These are all of those really rapid, loud voices coming in and coming in and coming in. And because you're avoiding it, it's going to keep coming in. They're going to keep coming and coming and coming until when? Until you decide to finally open the door and say, do you know what? I'm here and I'm ready to deal with you today. Because when you do that, that is when you start to really dismantle the amount of fear that has power over you. Until you start to face your fears, it will always have power over you and you will always feel stuck. Always. And this is why you stand in your own way. Why? Because you don't believe that you are capable to walk with your fears. When I am telling you now, you are more than capable. And it's actually when you walk with fear that you find the strength, courage, and bravery to face the fear in the end. And then do you know what? When you actually face the fear, the funniest thing is when you face your fear, it's actually not half as bad as what you thought it was going to be in the beginning. You're like, oh, is that it? Did I actually make this big drama and that was all it was in the end? Oh, golly gosh. And then you actually start to get shy. Like, I've done this recently. I'm like, oh, God. All that stress over nothing. What? Like, I actually recently moved into my own place in October. And I was in fear so much that I wasn't capable to support myself. That was a fear of mine. And it did keep me, It kept me stuck for many months. Now I'm on my 4th month living on my own. And you know what? I've handled myself and supported myself a lot better than what I actually thought I could. So now I'm sat here like, that was really silly of me. I actually delayed my life for a fear that wasn't even true. It wasn't even fact. Why did I allow this fear to paralyze me? So now I've created evidence for myself that doesn't matter how loud the fear is in my head, It's not true, because my mind wants to keep me safe. And the only way it's going to keep me safe is by being loud and trying to attack my heart and my soul, because my heart and soul knows where to go. And this is actually the toxicity that lives inside us. That's actually the toxic man in our head saying, if you do that, I'm going to make things really bad for you. And we believe that toxic voice. Instead of empowering ourselves and saying, do you know what? You have no power over me. And this is what I do now. You have no power over me. You can come into my world. You can tell me, and you can try and blackmail me and gaslight me all you want. But I am going to sit here and tell you that you have no power over me. And this is all what I do internally now. I do not allow fear to have power over me. I sit with fear. I sit with it. Because when I sit with it and I tell it, I visualize my fear as a person, and I sit there and I tell it, you don't have power over me anymore. You are welcome in my world. You are welcome to stay here, but you don't have power over me anymore. You can say whatever you want to say, but you don't have power over me anymore. This is where the transformational work comes in. And this is coming from someone who used to live an anxious life like crazy. Like, anxiety was me. But now it no longer has power over me. I no longer allow these things to have power over me anymore. I know how to deal with them. And in me dealing with them, I am no longer standing in my own way. I'm no longer allowing my mind to stand in my own way. I'm allowing my heart to lead, and very much aware of what's going on in my head, but no longer allowing it to lead anymore. And this is the gift of rock bottom. One of the biggest gifts of rock bottom. And if you've been listening to this so far, and you know that you are controlling your life to this point, and you have so many fears that are keeping you stuck, I have a really, really exciting masterclass for you. I'm actually thinking how I've been talking in this podcast that I'm actually going to call it Walking with Fear, because the masterclass is all around tackling fear, understanding how you're controlling your life, understanding the fears below it, and actually teaching you what I have embodied and teaching you how to walk with fear. Doing the deeper work to be able to support you with walking with fear. So if you are interested, get over to my Instagram and there will be a link in the bio for you to purchase this masterclass. It will be an hour to 2 hours. I'm not 100% sure how long it will be. It will be on the 22nd of February. I'm still feeling into what time that will be. It will probably be evening. It will be on Zoom, and there will be a recording available for you to watch afterwards. And there will be a really early bird price. Until this Friday, it will be at a very discounted rate. So again, if you are interested, head over to my link in my bio and you can then purchase your place in this masterclass. So I'm really, really excited to support anyone who desires to walk with fear, because trust me, when you learn how to walk with fear, you will no longer be standing in your own way in any place in your life, and you will be able to take any decision that you desire. Why? Because you will be able to walk with fear and do it anyway. So I'm going to leave it there. I love you lots. As always, keep shining, keep smiling, my beautiful souls, and I will see you on the next episode.